What is going on, grinders and collectors alike? It's Tuesday night. That means we're inside the castle. Welcome to the show. I'm Chief Justice 06, also known as Will Priester. I'm going to be your host. Two-man booth again, getting a little intimate here. Joined by my main man up in CAN, Canada. It is Tyler Tamboline, my friend. How's it going?
I'm doing well, man. Excited. Another one here. We get to get into it. I love it. You love it. We get into this tool. We do a lot of different analysis, and I think it's what's relevant right now, right? We're talking this today. We're talking NBA. We're using market movers, of course. I'll leave that to you in a second, but going through some of the trends, some of the rookies, stars, looking at what's happening in the market as it relates to the playoffs, which we're all enjoying right now. Obviously, it's a crazy Final Four that we're down to, maybe some unexpected there, but it makes for a good different style playoffs than just LeBron or whoever's always there that we've seen in the past. So pretty excited about it, man. Happy to jump in on this one with you.
Absolutely. And not only players, I mean, we've got some different coaches in this thing. I mean, I know Coach Budenholzer has kind of been around, but Monty Williams in the NBA Finals, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, this is very unique. Ty Lue's, of course, been there before with LeBron, but he's back again with the Clippers and a Kawhi-less team. And then, my favorite of the bunch, Nate McMillan. And I've been ringing this bell and pounding this one for a while, but how crazy does Indiana look right now, firing Nate McMillan? And now they get to sit at home and watch him take a new team to the finals. And he got hired mid-season. Like that, to me, that's what's even most impressive. They were under 500. He takes over. I think they go like something like 26-11 or something to that effect. Don't hold me to that. Bottom line, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals facing the juggernaut that is the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. What are your thoughts on just, you talked about the teams, but how about these coaches? Like a whole new breed of coaches that are going to be NBA champions real soon.
I'm not a super coach guy. I love watching the games and things like that. But, if we were talking coach cards, I remember they had referee cards back in the day and official cards and stuff. But I like the Nate McMillan one. I will tell you that. I do agree there. It just, the minute you said that, what it made me think about was Trae Young. And what it made me think about was the Trae Young versus Luka Doncic and all the controversy kind of around that and letting it, they did it wrong and so on and so forth. And meanwhile, just watching Trae Young take that game down the other night, tosses Pops the jersey, and then roll out on Father's Day. That to me was just special. So the Nate McMillan story is quite something. I remember when Indiana dropped him, it seemed pretty quick versus what the guy had upside for and the people, the guys liking him and whatnot. So it's good to see him get there now. Like you said, everyone's in the conference finals. We got two great matchups, Kawhi-less and Chris Paul-less series that we've seen so far. He's out another game there. So, I mean, that's on the Western Conference side. You just mentioned Nate McMillan and again, the Bucks getting the job done on the other side. So him for the Hawks, but obviously the Bucks getting the job done against Brooklyn. That was big for Kawhi, for Giannis. So we've got Giannis moving on now too. And Durant is out. It's just crazy to see these four teams that we've got left, but makes, like I said, for a totally different experience in what's been a pretty crazy year and a half as is with everything going on in the world. So to see it shake out like this from the Lakers getting the job done last season to where we are now, Will, and fans back in the buildings and all that stuff going on, it's definitely an exciting time in the NBA.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we possibly saw this coming a little bit with Phoenix at the end of the bubble last year. They didn't get in, but went on a miraculous run, just playing fantastic basketball. And they bring in the point guard himself, CP3. Kevin Durant's basically a toe on the line away from possibly going to the Eastern Conference. I mean, it's been insane. So geez, man. I'm with you. I mean, it's been incredible, really. But we're not here to talk about the actual game, although that's part of what's going to be included. We're here to talk sports cards. Can't get it done without sportscardinvestor.com. We're going to run this promo into the ground and back up. You need to get in on sportscardinvestors.com right now. Pause this video. Stop what you're doing. Go over to sportscardinvestor.com. Click the market movers and sign up. We're going to be demonstrating the tool here. We're going to show you all the bells and whistles, or as much as applicable to the topic that we're talking about. Promo code GRINDERS is going to get you 20% off of your first payment. That's 20% for the month or 20% for the year. If you use it for the month, no, you do not get to use it for the year as well. You know what that means, folks? Go ahead, sign up for the month. Get the major discount. You won't regret it, and we're going to show you why. Tambo, we are in. Let's kick it off with this first topic, because I think this is something that's really good for us to just kind of kick off here. And we're going to talk about the rookie classes, right? And how possibly these past couple of rookie classes have fared in the NBA, how it correlates to their card prices. You know, clearly we have, LaMelo, who's the rookie of the year this year. And we've got, Mitchell and Tatum and Luka, Trae Young, who's probably really important to us right now because of what he's done in recent years. Zion and Ja. Those are the types of rookies that we have, here recently, right, in the past few seasons. And then before we get into that, Tim, I am going to pass it over to you. But I did want to kind of do what I want to call just kind of an overview state of the market past 7 days, and just kind of look at what the card prices have looked like. No surprise, we've got Terrence Mann up top at a whopping 151% change in terms of his overall player cards. And then Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Chris Middleton, of course, still in the playoff. Dante DiVincenzo, even though he's sitting at home, he's increased some. Devin Booker's up 60%. Kevin Huerter's up 11%. So those are kind of the guys at the top. And then I'm going to flip it around, and lo and behold, you will notice that we've got guys that are kind of sitting at home. Kendrick Nunn, LaMelo Ball, Mitchell just exited, Embiid just exited, Kevin Durant just had an exit, Jackson Hayes, PJ Washington, Thibault just exited, Kyrie, Pascal, Kawhi. Kawhi's just hurt, Luka's down, Miles Bridges is at home, Jokic is gone, Lillard is gone. When you kind of see that, what kind of gives you your overall take of just where the market is right now? And then let's talk about these rookies.
Yeah, I think it's something that we're used to seeing, in the sense of that, when they're out, they're gone. People want to forget about them. And I just think the other part that's so funny is some of the names you saw in there, like Luka, Durant, guys that are just absolute, to me, the pieces I talk about all the time, these blue chips that I want to just keep. I don't rush to sell it because, oh no, now he's out of the playoffs. I got to quickly get as much as I can for this. You should have had it up for sale. Then that's my only thinking on that. It's like, I just never get that. But if that was your play, is what you and I talk all the time about this, just like when we're playing daily fantasy or anything that we do, messing with the top shot market, all these things, there's strategy involved to what we do, at least in trying to make it work and quote unquote win. That to me is not a winning move, just selling it off at the lowest possible price when this is the case. Now, someone like that, I get it. Some of the other guys that you pulled up there, though, are a little bit more interesting because, you mentioned like Kevin Huerter is up right now. Well, Kayvon, they call him. He said when he has good games, and Kevin when he has bad games. So, I'm not buying, but I just, some of these are cases of people seeing a guy have a great game and say, okay, he's a shooter now. They know. Terrence Mann, you probably should have known a little bit more about. And that was a spot that you could have been in on a little bit early, but you can see the sales that are trending there. He had 42 sales. Booker's got 61. Like, these are the guys that people are picking up that are having their big games. That triple-double that Booker had the other night was extremely special, and now we'll see what he can do again tonight. But it just goes to show that people are just jumping on that. You and I both know that when this season ends, they all go down. So it's part of the game a little bit in that sense, but that's why I like flipping to the red. We know why the guys that are green for the most part here. It's when you flip it and, the big games that we just talked about, everything that go to the playoffs, they're still in it. But when you went to the red, there's a lot of guys there that are still pretty interesting. And it's not to prey on this situation I just made fun of, but it is to say, like, if you want Kevin Durant cards or you want certain guys that you think are worth more, then the time to jump in is when they're selling them off, saying, oh, now he's out. So what? We'll buy him back later. You want to look at these ones now and keep an eye on it. And that's why you want market movers, because in the off season, this is the only way to track and trend and start to see it as a market where you can sort of make your decisions based off of that. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that's fantastic. Fantastic explanations, man. And something that you always say, Tambo, that I think, I mean, honestly, should just be our show motto, right? Always have a plan.
Yeah.
Like we can't get into this industry and not have a POA, a plan of attack, right? I mean, you've got to decide what your goal is. And and here's the funny thing. Your goals can be different than the field's goals. Like me and Tambo, we do the exact same thing, but sometimes we're going to differ, right? We're going to have things that we approach a little bit differently, but we both have a plan. And so I think that's the main thing, that's our show motto, something I always love that you bring up, because I think it's so important. We can't talk about that enough, right? Because if your plan is to make money and that's your main plan, then you got to understand how to make money, right?
How are you making money? Like you said, that's what it is. Is with the old adage, right? Fail to plan, you plan to fail. It's, sounds corny, but it's so factual. And if your plan is to make money, you still have to know how to go about doing that. I brought this example or analogy up in the past, if you will, of like the Apple stock. Like even if you don't have a big budget, you can go buy one share of Apple stock for $140, or listen to some of our shows, or find some of the targets we're going after, or things that we're showing you using this tool, where you can find a $140 card that's the same price as one Apple share, which is more likely to go to 280 faster right now. A Kyler Murray PSA 10 rookie card that you can get like even a Don Russ rated rookie, probably around 140. That definitely has potential to go to 280 before the current Apple stock has potential to do it. It's not financial advice. I'm not saying go out and this is the one. We talked about who we like to target in the past. I'm just saying I'll take on that risk. And guess what? The liquidity is still there. Someone's still going to buy that card off me, even if I have to sell it off down the road. And I may not get the full 2x out of it, but to me, I'm happy with what I'm getting out of it. And that's why I'm investing in those cards, to try and double up is my strategy. Right? There's other guys, the Mahomeses that you're looking for in the offseason, or finding a deal where someone needs money or maybe wants to get out of a higher end numbered graded card of Mahomes that I maybe plan to keep for 5 to 10 years, because I just think his career has so much upside, as we all know. So there's different situations, different strokes for different folks. But like I said, I do always have a plan when I'm going into the cards that I'm buying.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's what we're going to do, Tambo. We're going to go ahead and start hitting up some of these rookies, right? And one guy that I know you love, you've already brought him up. We're going to start, ladies and gentlemen, with SGA, right? Because he's a rookie. This is going to be his third season, I think. Is this his third season, Tambo?
He's not a rookie. Yeah, he's certainly not a rookie anymore, but he's from that rookie class, like you mentioned, that we're looking into here. And he's a guy I like. I said, I like him. Obviously, there's some Canadian connection there, but I just think he's so good as is. And it's just that, we got to see a little bit more from him. But man, that team is just loaded with prospects, loaded with draft picks. They've got opportunity there. It just depends on what happens with OKC. But I do think he's worth looking at, because he's one of the guys. I think we'll look at Tatum, because he went out so SGA didn't even make it. Tatum went out early. Mitchell just went out and was probably a disappointment. And then there's some other guys kicking still in there. We saw Devon Booker as a prime example, where he's still up. And these are sort of some of the big name rookies across the mark. And you could see here with SGA, the trend is nothing but down, right? There we go.
And look, that's why we want this tool, right? We don't want to just run in here and guess. We want to make sure we've got real-time data. We look back in March, we can see that SGA, in terms of his prism, he was up to 217. And his optic, and these are all PSA 10 base, were around 140. And now we look, oh my goodness, I need to go buy it right now. I mean, I almost want to just cut this show off. SGA, in terms of his optic base, Tambo, $54. That's a 61% reduction, 61.4% to be exact. The prism has pulled back 33%. Right now is probably a great time to get in on SGA, and I know I messed it up. Today, we're going to be discussing rookies from the past 3 or 4 classes, looking at those prices, and then looking at guys that have possibly had early exits or no entry into the playoffs. And so SGA, we know he's a favorite of ours. Tambo, when you see this, I mean, are your spidey senses tingling? You got all it's all the right stuff. He's Canadian. He's a guy that you like. He's a guy that has upside. OKC keeps trading pieces. They just got rid of Al Horford and Moses Brown, got another draft pick, brought in Kemba Walker. I'm not sure if Kemba's going to stay, but they keep moving pieces around to try to make this thing work. How are you feeling? My spidey senses are tingling. What say ye?
I say, currently already own of him are down, but I'm not selling him right now or anytime soon. I definitely think there's a buying opportunity here based on what you're showing that people could go out and get after something like that at $50. It's hard to imagine. You can see the sales, like they still move. There's enough liquidity there that you'd be able to buy in and get out if something doesn't happen, but it's just so much more likely, in my opinion, with a guy like SGA, that good news happens, right? Either they get better, they get a good pickup, they trade some of those picks. There's different factors that they can go after guys and be able to be better, but he's the key cog to me. He's still the guy that's going to make them better. He's their playmaker. So they were clearly happy to have him. They let go of CP3. They've got enough guys there to let that stuff happen. And he's there now. So I think the prices are great. Like you said, they'll probably still go down, stay this way or down a little bit further, not too much more over the off season. But it's clear, like you said, he's one of the guys that we're starting with because he wasn't a playoff contender. He wasn't in contender. There was nothing to worry about there. We already knew this. So anyone that was in, probably a little bit of fear here. And like I said, my collection's down. I've got some really nice SGA cards that I'm excited about in the personal collection that aren't for sale, but for, a buying opportunity. I think he's a great one because probably an all-star next year, in my opinion. Again, back to just my thoughts, no bias. I just think that's how good he is. And he's a great player overall. And he's got the pieces around him that can continue to get better.
Yeah. And I'm with you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up these guys in tandem. I'm all over SGA. Like I said, when I get off of this show, SGA or more SGA, let me say, is going into the collection. I just personally can't pass on $50 PSA 10 optic rated rookies.
I was just going to say that too. By the way, not to mention the cost, like when it even comes back around, like what it's going to cost to grade that card. You have to go find an old school pack or box or break where they're opening 2018 optic to then hit the card or buy it raw and hope that it's a good raw that you're buying and then pay to send it in to get it graded, to have all that stuff happen. Again, I still think that's where you and I've talked in the past, where pop count has become more important to people. I still don't understand how people, I think this is the next level or the next stage. I still don't understand how people are selling their PSA cards for less than it costs to get graded for good cards like that. That's his optic rated rookie. It's not his Donruss. It's not anything that, like, it's not his best rookie card. And there's so many variations, but it's a good rookie card of his. And even the prisms were only $145. I'm just saying, if it's going to be $99 or $85 or whatever it's going to be to grade that card, you have to find one that's clean, send it in, pay to get it graded, wait for the turnaround time, and then hope that it's a PSA 10, which it's already a pretty low pop count, like 2,400 versus Luka's pushing 20. Not saying he's Luka. That's my whole point. That's why he's not Luka's price, but there's definitely opportunity there when it costs almost that much money just to get the card, get it sent in and get it graded and have it come back as a 10 on top of all that stuff. It's just too many factors. I think that's the next thing that we'll see that people are starting to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you 100%. Grading prices are up. Grading turnaround times are slow. And you can't sell anything because you don't have the cards to sell. So the best deal is to go out into the marketplace and pick it up while it's down. And it's going to be cheaper, like you said, for us to, it doesn't even matter if the shipping's $10. It's still cheaper for me to buy it off in the marketplace right now. Let's switch gears, man. Let's go over to Brown and Tatum. Here's why I'm pulling these guys up in tandem. I don't think that their skill sets are identical, but with no Kemba Walker, we got to feel like they're expecting Tatum and Brown to run this team, which Tatum we feel like is the alpha dog anyway, kind of no third wheel. We know that maybe Marcus Smart is the third wheel, but trust me, he's not the face. He's the background of the franchise. He's the go-getter. He's the guy that gets the hands dirty. The pretty boys are Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. These guys are going to be the engine that drives this team. And so when I look at these prices, Tambo, and I know these are a lot of data points, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to the bottom because it's going to be a little bit more clean. But look at this. We look at Brown's optic base, last sale, $74. I am going to go back up and let's identify that. That's this blue line. Look at where he was. He was at 218 just back in March. He's down to 74. So everything looks like it's going to be down. Jaylen Brown, Prism base, 200, right? Jaylen Brown, Select Concourse, 147. Tatum, 155, base 333, concourse 225. And if we look at everything, and it should have been up in March clearly because we were in the height of the season, but 637 for the Tatum Prism base, already all the way down to 352. We pretty much got an opportunity to almost double our money if we can get into these price points. And it's not all about the money, but because I do have some cards that I want a PC. But in terms of if you want to make some money and have some profitability, if you bought right now and held until the season started, you could probably almost certainly make your money back once the games start popping off. Tambo, we're looking at this. Both of these guys are down as expected. What's your read on this? Looks like that they're down anywhere from 30 to 50%.
Yeah, I can't stand the Boston Celtics because of the setup of these two guys and how good they both are. But Jason Tatum's my number one favorite player in the NBA. It's crazy after many years of being a Kobe Bryant fan. My whole basketball life of following NBA since I was a kid, Kobe was the guy. And that's why I kind of like Tatum so much, because he's sort of in Kobe's, sort of his right. He was working with them, training with them, doing things with them there, learning from him. You could see YouTube videos already of him basically doing his moves at a younger age. A couple things though stand out to me here. Like the reason I don't like this team is just because these two, like, they just need to move Brown and get someone else that makes more sense for the combination. Because I think, and I want you to switch to someone else in a second, but I'll make a couple comments here quickly. Is Brown, imagine paying $75 for that optic base when you can go buy an SGA for $50. It's the same. He's better. To me, he's a better player. He's younger. He's going to be better. He's on a team where he's going to get to have the full out success, and Brown is going to always have to compete. And by the way, Tatum's only going to get better. So, there's those games where, yes, Brown had to pick it up and make these debates even a thing. But again, it's all my personal opinions. But I'm high on Tatum long-term, no matter what. Again, I'm watching my prices drop on all my best cards, but I don't care because Tatum's not a guy I'm trying to get rid of. He was never a plan to buy and sell. He was a plan to buy and hold. I love it. I do like that select for sure. We've talked about this in the past, so we don't need to harp on it too much. What I'd like you to do is delete Jaylen Brown, because as you can tell, my distraught with him, and bring in Devin Booker against Jason Tatum, because now we got a guy who's out of the playoffs, but we definitely, I think, not just us or me included, bias aside, know this guy is going to be there in the NBA as an all-star for a long time. But now I saw a lot of, and by the way, Tatum always gets the Kobe comparisons, not just because their relationship a little bit that they had and how he always talks about how he wasn't really an MJ guy. He was a Kobe guy because that's just what he grew up on. He's sort of my age, or he's younger than me, actually. So, he's that group coming up. But Devin Booker this week has been talked a lot. Even Stephen A. Smith, who, some love or hate him, whatever you want to do. But he said Devin Booker is the next Kobe. So, they popped that up, I saw. So I'd like to compare Devin Booker to Jason Tatum. And then we can get it's just fun, right? That's why this tool is so exciting, because then you can go in and see, okay, I can see it from both sides. And I think they're both great purchases, but what is the price difference between these two right now?
Well, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull up the Prism, because I know that was most popular, just to kind of get a good read on it. And I'm going to pull base and silver this time, both PSA 10. And that should give us a really good read. And I mean, it's coming, folks. And so if we look right now, did it give us? Okay, it did give us both. So we've got Booker base. He was around, oh my gosh. Back in March, Booker was around 916 and Tatum was around 637. And of course, we're looking now, and Booker is at 1145 and Tatum's down to 333. So he's up 25%. I mean, it's not that's astronomical. Silly. It's not astronomical.
That's insane. He was 300 before when it was up, and now Booker's a little further in the playoffs, and obviously it's one triple-double, but it just reminds me so much of the Luka 3 to win the game. You know what I mean? It was a game winner, of course, but it wasn't a series winner. It wasn't a close the doors, it's over, we're out of the playoffs 2 games later type game winner that spiked his cards. And he's not spiked way up since what you were saying back then. He spiked Devin Booker, but I'm saying, look at the opposite direction on Tatum. The gap is just that's not true. So for me anyway, and if I'm buying it, this has no bias there. I'm definitely buying Tatum before I'm ever buying Booker at these prices right now. It's just not even close. And actually, what's the silver? Is there any on there for Tatum right now? That's one that I don't have Tatum that you just made me think about. Yeah, what's that one?
Tatum silver is in orange, It's $1,612.
Yeah.
It's down 44%.
It's still
Devin
up there,
Booker,
I'm watching that one.
silver, 6,100. Now, my assumption is the silver prism for Devin Booker is a lot lower pop count because it was back in 2015. And I am going to pull that right now. And so as you can see, it's at 169, where Tatum is at 709. But still, that's still a huge gap. I mean, you know, he's roughly, about 15% or so of the Tatum. But he's not 15% more than Tatum in terms of silver. I mean, he's at 6,100 last sale, and Tatum's at 1,600. That's a really big gap. We've still got plenty of more room, or a lot more room, I think, on that Tatum silver, especially if he was in Devin Booker's shoes today. I gotta feel like that silver would be at least 2,200 right now.
Yeah, scroll back up for a second just to see what their count is on the base. Well, I know Jason Tatum's is like 5,500 or something.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Base for Booker 1450, 5,108 for Tatum, and that's still comparably lower. I mean, we're talking about guys like Luka and Zion. I mean, they're pushing 15, 16, 18,000, 20,000. It's up. These are still great buys. Yeah,
and that's not to take unnoted. To go unnoticed, I should say. Sorry, is that yes, that matters because there is less Devin Bookers, and so there is some room for some discrepancy there. I'm just saying if you're looking from a skill perspective, let's say there's the same 5,000 Bookers, then I don't think it's as high, but I also still think it's still clearly he's been higher the whole way regardless.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, even if that 1,100 recently drops to 750, because there is more supply for the demand out there and the price comes down some, and that he's still trading for almost double. And that's on me being hypothetical. I'm just telling you, like I said, to each their own, and it's your opinion. But, Boston is a very strong basketball city. The market is hot and strong. You'll always have fan bases there. You'll always have a strong fan base there that wants to buy those cards. There's room for change there as well. Like I said, if they move Brown, bring someone in. And then the other thing I always just have in the back of my mind is like, either it could happen to either of them, but if they go to the Lakers or something down the stretch, we're not talking right away here, but these two guys do seem kind of like the Kobe comparison candidates, back to what we were talking about at the start and why I got you to bring them up together, because I do think there's definitely that possibility. You just never know, right? But I'm definitely higher on Jason Tatum long-term than I am on Booker. And it is some personal opinion there, but I just skill check him, watch him. I don't know. I test him, whatever you want to do, college, everything, anything I can see about any of them. I'm higher on Jason Tatum personally. Any thoughts on that, Will?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think Tatum has more upside, right? And I think he has a little bit more star appeal. And guess what? That's not taking anything away from Devin Booker. I was so frustrated a couple years ago in 2015 when the Hornets did not draft Devin Booker when we needed shooting. So frustrated. I think we drafted Frank Kaminsky or Noah Vonleh or something. I mean, it was just awful. I think we had the 9 or 10 spot. It was either Frank Kaminsky or Noah Vonleh because I was actually at the draft party for that one. And I was just this is all I did, Tambo. I took my two hands, I put them together, and I just sat my face in there. It was terrible. Did you pull up who we drafted by chance? Were you doing that by chance? No?
Pull up what?
I said by chance, were you pulling up that draft class to see what mistake the Charlotte Hornets made?
Well, that's what I'm trying to go to right now. I'm just trying to remember back and go to there.
Jeez, it was so
13th, terrible. 2015, 13th overall.
And I think we drafted 9 or 10, I think, that year. Or 11, 9, 10, or 11.
Frank Kaminsky in 9th.
Oh, I mean, just awful. What?
Man. If you look at some of the guys that went over him, like Emmanuel Mudiay, Stanley Johnson, Frank Kaminsky, Justice Winslow, Miles Turner, Trey Lyles, like just some of the guys. Obviously at the top, for those that don't remember, I just pulled it up because I didn't even remember that far, but it was Cat at the top, made sense, and then D'Angelo Russell by the Lakers. I remember that for sure. So that made me think about it now, which is kind of interesting, but because we just talked about the possibility of Booker someday maybe being a Laker, who knows? Like that's just something to look at and go back and see, but very hard to judge the talent that happens in every sport, right? Football, baseball is the hardest, man. All the prospects and things that come out. We've done plenty of shows on that. I know Wander Franco was getting his start up there tonight and everyone was on that. I'm not sure what he's done so far, but there's some great talents out there, but it's really hard to judge that at the time. I was trying to see what
It
else.
wasn't for me. I knew Devon Booker was the best player in the draft. I've been banging the drum. I need to be a scout for the Hornets, by the way. But I'm going to get off that, Tambo.
But you know what the other thing is too is the Kentucky draft picks, right? All the guys coming out of Kentucky are all pretty solid, right? So
yeah, Cat was there. Anthony Davis, Boogie, John Wall, and I mean these are just older ones. And they've had some busts.
Which we know Kentucky. It's not a surprise. Obviously, Kentucky's the top ranked. You know what I mean? Jamal Murray, right? I was just thinking back to some of the other guys, like who else? Just looking up some of the other big ones. De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. De'Aaron Fox is
Bam.
Right. See? I mean, just all over. And most of these guys are having fantastic careers. I mean, if we go in further back,
don't forget my guy SGA, who we already talked about.
Yeah, Anthony Davis.
Unfortunately, no on Kevin Knox. He's the one that got away, man.
He ended up in the wrong situation. Listen, and I'm going to say this, and then we're going to close, Sambo. But situation matters, right? Like you end up on a team like the Knicks when the management is bad, and suddenly your NBA career is over before it starts. And that's just the truth. And I'm not saying that he's the best player in the world. I'm saying if he goes to another team, his development's probably different. His psyche's probably different. Like the right situation is obviously what you need when you're bringing in these rookies.
Kevin Knox still only 21 years old, right? There's still a possibility there. He's not done. Like RJ Barrett's 21, and they can move Knox. I'm sure they will or would like to, but you just never know when these guys can pop up and pop out. But I thought this was fun, man. I think going in, looking at all these guys, having these conversations around some of these things, little debate back and forth is always good. Try and get our thoughts on it. But I definitely am eyeing up the Jason Tatum Silver PSA 10. That's one I don't have. I've shown you in the past. I've got some others, national VIP out of fives, things like that. So I've got some nice ones there, but I'm definitely eyeing up those silvers for sure. I'm going to have to keep an eye on those.
Yeah, it's definitely time, I think, to pounce while everyone's panicking. So, ladies and gentlemen, grinders, collectors alike, once again, thanks for joining us in the castle as usual. Don't forget to head over to sportscardinvestor.com. Get in on this market movers tool. This is the secret sauce. You see us use it every time we have a cardboard show. Don't miss out. You can let your fingers roam the ocean of collectibles in terms of the cardboard space on your own. 20% off the first payment. Promo code Grinders. I'm Will. That was Tambo. Thanks, Devon, for producing. We'll see you next Tuesday.